You are welcome back to mathematics class. Today we are going to be looking at compound interest. Alright, so let's begin. Compound interest is always called interest upon interest. Alright, so that is the simple definition I would give you for compound interest. So before we proceed to begin to look at some worked examples, I'm going to give you two formulas that we needed to know in order to carry out operations under compound interest. Okay, so the formula for compound interest is given as amount minus principal. Okay, so let me shorten it as just P. So this is the formula for compound interest, or you can shorten it as a CI is equal to A minus P. Okay, so take note of this formula. We are going to be using it. Alright, so where CI stands for compound interest, A is the amount and P is the principal amount. Okay, so but this A is also further given as this amount is equal to the P, the principal amount, open bracket 1 plus rate divided by 100. As you already know that rate is in percentage. Okay, that's why we are dividing it by 100. Then close the bracket, everything raised to power n. Understood? So that is the amount. In case you are given a question and they ask you to find the compound interest, and if you were not given amount, so you needed to find the amount by yourself using this second formula now. Okay, so where A is equal to amount, okay, P is the principal amount, then R is the rate, and N is the number of years. Alright, so now let's continue to look at some examples. So the first question we are going to be looking at says, find the amount on 10,000 naira invested at 10% compound interest for 2 years. Solution. Alright, in this question, our P, the principal, is given as 10,000 naira, and we are also given the rate R is equal to 10%, and also we are given the year, that is N. Okay, our N now is 2 years. That's the number of years. Is that understood? So you remember our formula, because the question says we should find the amount, and the formula to find the amount is A equal to P open bracket 1 plus R over 100 close the bracket, everything raised to the power of n, and this is the formula we are going to be applying. So all these parameters, I'm going to substitute it into this formula. Then I have my amount to be equal to P is 10,000 naira, 10,000 open bracket 1 plus R, which is 10, divided by 100, then everything raised to power n, which is 2. Understood? Okay, so let's solve this further. A will be equal to 10,000, okay, open bracket 1 plus this 0 will cancel this 0, so we are left with 1 over 10, and 1 divided by 10 will give us 0.1, everything raised to power 2. Alright, so we now have 10,000 open bracket 1 plus 0.1 will give us 1.1 raised to power 2, then equal to 10,000. Now 1.1 raised to power 2 will give us multiply by 1.21. Okay, so let's continue here. Our amount A will be equal to 10,000 naira multiplied by 1.2, and that will give us 12,100 naira. Okay, so this is the value of the amount. Understood? Okay, so let's now find the compound interest. The compound interest ci is given as the amount minus the principal. So that's the formula, and the amount we just got now is 12,100 naira minus the principal, which is equal to 10,000 naira. So when you subtract this from each other, we have our common compound interest to be equal to 2,100 naira. So that's the compound interest. Understood. So let's take a look at another example. The question says find the compound interest on 50,000 naira at 8% for 3 years. Solution. So here the principal amount is equal to 50,000 naira, and the rate is equal to 8%, and the number of years n is 3 years. Okay, so before we find the compound interest on 500,000 naira, we must first of all know the amount first. Okay, and to find the amount, we are going to apply our same formula. A is equal to P open bracket 1 plus R over 100 multiplied by everything raised to power n. So substituting the parameters, I have A equal to, my P is 50,000 naira, then 1 plus R is 8 over 100, then everything raised to power n, which is 3. Okay, so if I solve this further, I have 50,000, then open bracket 1 plus 8 divided by 100 will give us 0.08, then raised by 3. So A will be equal to 50,000 open bracket 1 plus 0.08 will give us 1.08 raised to power 3. Alright, so A will be equal to 50,000, then 1.08 raised to power 3 will give us 1.2597. Okay, so when you multiply this together, you are going to get amount to be equal to 62,985 naira. So that's the amount. Then the compound interest ci will be equal to the amount minus the principal. Right, so ci will be equal to the amount we calculated is 62,985 naira minus the principal, which is equal to 50,000 naira. Okay, so when you subtract this from each other, you will get 12,985 naira. So this is our this is our compound interest. Understood. Okay, let's take a look at another example. The question says a man invests 15,000 naira for 2 years at compound interest. After 1 year, his money amounts to 15,600 naira. Find the A rate of interest, B interest of the second year. Solution. Okay, so from this question, the principal amount is equal to 15,000 naira. Okay, so the amount for the first year according to the question is 15,600 naira. So I'm going to represent that with A1. That's the amount for the first year, and that is given to be equal to 15,600 naira. Okay, so now we will find the interest for the first year. So the interest for the first year I will be equal to the amount in the first year minus the principal. So the interest for the first year now will be equal to my A1 is 15,600 naira minus the principal amount, which is 15,000 naira. So when you subtract this from each other, we get our interest for the first year to be equal to 600 naira, because our I1, the interest for the first year now is 600. Is that understood? So we will go ahead now and answer these two questions. The first question says we should find the rate. Okay, A, find the rate of the interest. Okay, and the rate, let me cite the formula from the simple interest we had in the previous class. Rate is given as 100i, that is 100 multiplied by the interest divided by the pt. Okay, but in this case our t time will be just 1 year. Is that understood? All right, so the rate of interest will be equal to interest for the first year. All right, so multiply by 100 divided by p. Okay, and like I said, the t is for the first year 1, so p times 1 is still p. Is that understood? So r, the rate for the first year, will be equal to my I1 is 600 multiplied by 100, everything divided by p, which is 15,000 naira. Okay, so this 0 will cancel this will cancel this will also cancel this, so we are left with 60 divided by 15. So the rate will be equal to 60 divided by 15 will give us 4%, because our rate is always in percentage. Is that understood? So let's go ahead and answer question B. The question says find the interest of the second year. Okay, so interest for the second year is calculated as follow. So now we are going to, the p we are going to use, that is the principal we are going to use for this second year, is not the same thing we use for the first year. So the principal for the second year will be equal to the amount of the first year, and the amount of the first year is given as 15,600 naira. So this will be the principal amount for the second year, and our rate r is 4% as calculated. Is that understood? So the interest of the second year, the interest for the second year, I will denote it with I2, that's interest for the second year, is equal to 4% of the principal amount, which is 15,600 naira. Okay, so this 4% is 4 divided by 100 multiplied by 15,600 naira. Okay, so these two zeros will cancel this, so we are left with 4 multiplied by 156. So I2 will be equal to 4 times 152 will give us 624. Okay, 624. Now that's the interest of the second year. So I hope you understood this. It's very simple. All right, so I want you to take these two questions as your classwork. So pause this video now and solve these two questions. After you might have solved it, you can continue watching the video to see the solution to the questions. So the question says calculate the compound interest on 500 naira at 3% per annum for 2 years. Solution. Okay, so we want to calculate the compound interest, and here we were given our p, the principal amount, to be equal to 500 naira. Okay, so the rate is given as 3% and the n is given as 2 years. Okay, so the formula to calculate the amount because we needed to calculate the amount first before the compound interest. So A is equal to P open bracket 1 plus R over 100 everything raised to power n. Okay, so A will be equal to P is 500, then multiplied by 1 plus R, which is 3 over 100, everything raised to power 2. So A is equal to 500, 1 plus 3 divided by 100 will give us 0.03 raised to power 2. So A will be equal to 500, then 1 plus 0.03 will give us 1.03 all squared. So A is equal to 500. 1.03 all squared will give us 1.0609. So when you multiply this together, we get our amount to be equal to 530 naira 45 kobo. Okay, so we now go ahead to find the compound interest CI. So the compound interest is giving us the A, that is the amount minus the principal P. All right, so the compound interest now will be equal to amount is given to be 530 naira 45 kobo. So minus the principal, which is 500 naira. All right, so when you subtract this from each other, you are going to get 30 naira 45 kobo. So that is the compound interest. Understood? So let's take a look at the next question. So the question says calculate the amount on 80,000 naira at 12% compound interest for 2 years. Solution. Okay, so the question says we should calculate the amount. So the formula we are still using is A equal to P open bracket 1 plus R over 100 raised to power n. Okay, so here our P in this question is 80,000 naira, then 1 plus R is giving us 12, then over 100 raised to power n. N is the 2 years, 2. Understood? So we now have our A to be equal to 80,000 naira, then 1 plus 12 divided by 100 will give us 0.12, then all squared. All right, so 80,000 naira, 1 plus 0.12 will give us 1.12 all squared. All right, so 80,000, when you squared 1.12, you are going to get 1.2544. all right, so multiplying this together will get our amount to be equal to 100,352 naira. Okay, so this is the amount that we were told to calculate. All right, so we are going to be stopping today's class at this point. If you are yet to subscribe to this YouTube channel, kindly hit the subscription button now, like this video, share it so that it can reach others. Thank you for watching. Bye.